Welcome to the Leaf Man Podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Taylor. This is my co-host,
Brooks McWhorter.
Today, we're going to talk to you about this table and why we love it so much.
Yeah. God, why do you sound so enthused today?
I'm an enthusiastic person today.
Tired?
No, not really. Yesterday I had a bad day. I was tired, but I think, no, dude, I mean, I've been in this calorie deficit for almost 2 weeks now.
So you're just feeling a little quiet?
Feeling a little moody. Yeah. I haven't got enough calories in 2 weeks. I'm pissed. No, it's good. It's to be expected. I still got whatever.
20 more days?
20 more days, yeah. Well,
21?
19 or 18, something like that. That's if I only do 30 days, but I'll probably end up doing more than that.
Classic.
Yeah, it depends on how I look at the end of 30 days.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we'll see how I feel. All right, so you had some questions today that you brought up and messaged me, so I'll read them out.
Yeah, we had one come in from from Howard, Kevin Howard, and then we had one come in from my brain. So,
yeah,
one that I just thought might be a good thing to go back and forth. We might have a different answer. Mm-hmm. We might have the same answer. So who knows?
All right.
But do you want to go ahead with the first one?
Yeah, sure. Well, you brought it up. Why don't you ask it?
Yeah, so actually this is from Howard. So let's go with Howard's first, because I feel like we do a quick answer on this one.
Shout out to Howard the Duck.
Yeah, shout out to Howard the Duck, dude.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck and his new baby.
Yeah.
What?
What's up, buddy?
Babies are dope. Babies are dope. Anyways, he said, who is the best NCO/CO you've ever served under? And I would like to preface this by saying I will not be naming a CO.
Yeah.
I will not be naming I will not be naming any officers. But
Yeah.
not that there aren't good ones. I just can't remember their names.
Yeah.
So, but I'll answer first. I mean, I had a couple. I mean, I think yours and at least one of yours and mine are the exact same person. I would say, Sergeant Major, and that whole team, that whole leadership team, Sergeant Major, Sergeant First Class Watson, and Staff Sergeant Hebler.
Yeah.
Awesome. We lucked out, dude. That was a great crew. It was a messed up crew.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from those guys, and they really believed in us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they acted like they hated us,
Yeah.
they taught us a lot of good lessons.
They did.
Even remember Sergeant Major, remember when it was hot outside and you and me half-assed that glass tabletop? Mm-hmm. Or the table that we built or whatever?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sergeant Major lost his mind on us. He was like, you're just gonna half-ass your whole life then?
Yeah.
And we were like, no, it's hot.
Sergeant Major sees a lot. He's liked a few of my things on Facebook. I see him. Man, I don't know if we should be shouting him out on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe not. Let's try to be a little more clandestine about us.
Yeah, maybe I won't say his first name. Whatever. Edit that out. Beep, 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 beep. Indy, edit that out. Anyways, Sergeant Major, he said, I'll never forget it, dude. And he was almost right. Almost. He said, we were sitting out back at the top. Remember right outside the, let's see, I think it was the east entrance, right outside the talk. There was that little smoking, just where we smoked.
Yeah, that's
Nobody else.
Yeah, that's where Sergeant Watson made me cry after I said the F word in the Soldier of the Quarter board.
Yep.
He freaked out on me.
Yep. So there was that little smoking area, and it was tight quarters, and it was just for people that worked in the talk. And Sergeant Major took us outside, and we were smoking cigarettes. And I was 20 at the time, 19 or 20. And, he was pretty young too, but he had experienced a ton of stuff, being a ranger, just doing all kinds of awesome stuff. And he said, he looked me dead in the eyes, and he was probably right. To his knowledge, he was right. He said, I've never met a soldier that got out of the Army and found extreme success. And he was, at that point, social media was still pretty small. There wasn't all these grandiose stories of Navy SEALs. And to be fair, probably a lot of his friends were not successful. And when I ETS'd,
it's a different world now.
It's a different world, yeah. And I was not successful. I failed miserably. My alcoholism kicked me in the nards for years. And then I joked about it with Withers, I was like, I'm gonna send Withers. Actually, he checked me. He put me in my place. He said, I had just bought Trico. We'd been building it for 4 years, and I had just bought Spencer out, and we were out back of the shop, and I was like, it hit me that Sergeant Major said that, because back then he asked me, what I was gonna do after the military, and I was like, oh, I'm just using the military, I want to go to school and like stuff like that, and that's when he said that to me, and then I told Withers that, and I was like, I'm gonna send Sergeant Major a picture of $1 million check just to rub it in his face that we made it, and Withers goes, why don't you just send him a picture of the whole crew smiling, bro? And I was like, oh, right in the feelers, dude. He corrected my thought process, and then ironically, dude, like literally 3 months later, Sergeant Major liked one of my stories, our like Trico videos that we started paying, and I sent it to Withers, and he was like, "No freaking way, dude!" I was like, "We made it, bro. We got his approval."
It's sick, dude. I mean, but no kidding, man. That guy called us on everything. Like
everything.
I learned how to. We were like working for him in the office. We were in the not office, but we were in like the operations command center, and he was in charge. And like, I couldn't do anything without learning a lesson around that guy.
Oh yeah.
I remember casually mentioned that calling for fire existed while I was on a ladder, and he was like, "How do you call for fire?" I was like, I don't know right now. Like I could probably I know the steps, and he's like, "Well, go study it until you can recite it by memory to me." I was like,
what's line 5 of your 9
line? Yeah. What's line 5 of your 9-line medevac? Just I don't know. I'm burning classified material right now. I can't really think of it.
Can't really think of that.
Well, honestly, you do need to know that stuff on the second. Like, I mean, in his mind, he's thinking, what if we get blown up right now and we need to send fire back? Yada yada. I'd be like, probably talk to the field artillery people over there.
Sergeant Hepler smoked me a ton.
Yeah, me too.
You were like his golden boy, dude.
I know, I love that guy.
Yeah, he smoked me like all the time.
He smoked Gallus a lot too.
He smoked Picard the most.
Yeah, he did smoke Picard the most.
He smoked Picard all the time, dude.
Because he used to be Air Force. Boo.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
Corporal North. That was a good one.
That was your other one?
No, I got another one that you don't know. But at the beginning of our career, like pre-deployment, Corporal North impacted my life a lot because
we talked about on the last pod, or on episode 29 a little bit.
Yeah, I was still kind of a crap bag, and he smoked the crap out of me all the time. But he was like a good leader. He brought camaraderie to the table. He took us to Freebirds and like got food
after the gym.
Yeah, and like was like, I want you guys to go to the gym, and we go work out. And I was like pissed at the time, so I was like, I'm doing PT every morning. Why do you want me to go to the gym in the afternoon?
Right.
Looking back, dude, he was just trying to breed excellence, and I respect him for that. Dealing with an 18-year-old like who thinks he knows everything because he's in the Army is probably not an easy task.
Yeah, he did a good job.
And then I got I had a lot of good NCOs like Sergeant Strickland. He was a good one. Sergeant Boyce.
Boyce is awesome. Yeah,
I would repeat some of his stories, but they're unrepeatable on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I know I swear on this podcast sometimes, but I probably should. I can't say them. I have them memorized though.
Yeah, some of those stories are bad.
I have the third ninja bat completely memorized. Yeah. We're not going to do it.
We're not going to do it, but there are some dark stories that come from
Subscribe to our Patreon to hear Staff Sergeant Boyce's Ninja Battalion story. It's gross.
Yeah. The one that affected me the most probably, though, all honesty, was Staff Sergeant Powell, dude. He was the S3. Was he the S3 ops guy after you
deployment?
Left. Yeah, after you left. Yeah, it was me and Sergeant Powell, and my drinking was getting real bad. And Tony had, my ex had, moved to California. All that crap was going on, the fiasco.
Yeah, it's the worst when you're alone.
Yeah, so I was just, alone and drinking way too much. And I still had my battle buddies, but, it was just not conducive, not a great environment.
And not everyone can hang out every day.
No, and, Sergeant Powell just, cared, dude. He could see my potential, even though I was drinking too much. And,
even though you ended up getting out too.
Yeah, well, at the time I was heading that way, but I wasn't there yet. And him and Sergeant Palicki, they tried to pull me out of my slump, dude. And they gave me a lot of responsibilities. They gave me some leadership roles.
Palicki was sick too. I like Palicki.
Yeah, so they helped a lot. Sergeant Powell, dude, he smart, probably one of the smarter guys that I ever met in the military. Really intelligent guy. Told me a lot of cool stories. Taught me a lot of cool things. Really cared about his guys, and dude, I got an Article 15 and I had to do extra duty. So
he's the one that helped you get the honorable discharge rather than the general, right?
Oh yeah. And so I got in trouble, and I got my Article 15, one of them, and he was he came down to see me while I was cleaning the front office, whatever CO, whatever it's called, and he was like, come outside, Taylor. And so we went outside, and he's like, I feel like you got a lot of pent-up energy. And I was like, I do. And he was smaller than me at that time, I think. And He's like, we're gonna do combatives in the grass, and so we just rolled. We just did
Sweet.
combatives forever, and then he won, even though he's smaller than me because he knows his stuff. He's a smart guy, and then
Probably doing it longer than
we
you.
finished, and I was like, he's like, what's going on with you, man? I was like, I told him everything that was going on with my ex and all these things, and I was like, my drinking's like, I'm just having a hard time dealing with it, and he was like. He like razzed me, dude. In the middle of my pity party, he goes, Taylor, I just want you to know something very seriously. And I was like, what's up? And he goes, everything that you'll ever learn in your entire life, I already know right now. And I was like, really, dude? I'm having the worst time of my life and you're going to razz me like that, dude, right in the middle of this?
I had a similar NCO say one of the same things. I had this dude start in Hadneck. He was just a brick shit house of Ukrainian rage. Or Czechoslovakia, one of them. I don't know. All I know is that when I asked him why he joined the army, he told me to kill Russians. I was like,
We're fighting a different war, guy.
It's not the Cold War. He's like, I don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
but anyways, like he said the same thing. He just like first training mission. He says, okay, everything you know about army, I've already forgotten. He's like, I've forgotten more about urban operations than you will ever learn.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, this guy knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff.
He knew how to use janky power lines in Czechoslovakia to hook up to something to create alcohol.
Yeah, that's
I was
crazy.
like, what?
How do you know these things?
But,
yeah. I mean, I had a lot of good NCOs. Sergeant Long. He's a good NCO.
Yeah.
Sergeant Hassan.
McIntyre,
Corporal Mac. Yeah. We had good leadership, and honestly, some of the leaders are more leaders than others, and some of them were just good at like being a soldier with you.
Being a team.
Yeah, being a team. Like they're
I feel
just
like
good team members.
I do feel like in our younger days, and this is one of the few regrets that I have about the military. One would be that I didn't, try and do selection or anything like that. But I mean, obviously, I'm happy with where I'm at now.
Yeah.
But I feel like some of those good leaders we had early on. And again, I'm ashamed of it almost, but I feel like those great leaders that we were afforded were wasted on us.
They were wasted completely.
Like we weren't here and everything. We didn't take in everything. Hindsight, I would have been the best soldier in the world.
I would have taken more advantage of like PT and working out. But back then it was just drinking and army bros. Like that was it. You don't know what you don't know. And like hindsight is 2020, right? So like we look back and like now that I'm in the leadership position and I have to lead the troops, it's like, man, I wish I had seen what they were trying to do to me because I'm trying to do that to others.
Exactly.
So it's like, you just don't know what you don't know.
Definitely. I agree.
When you're young, you just can only think about yourself. But that's why, like, as leaders, like, our job is to, like, figure out some kind of way. Like, it's not a one-size-fits-all in leadership. Like, each individual person needs a different thing sometimes. And, like, that's why, like, a couple of podcasts ago, I was, you and I talked about it, and I talked about it with Matt, our foreman, that, like, some guys respond really well to, like, positive reinforcement. Like, their life is already hard. So when you give them a pat on the back and you say, good job, they're like, yeah, I'm a stud. Right. Other guys are like, they live up to the challenge. They feed off of that. They need it. So they'll still take the pat on the back, but you're not going to get the same ethic out of them unless they feel challenged. Like that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
And you have to read each individual, and understand what they need. Yeah.
Meet them where they're too.
Yeah.
I mean, Baker was by far one of the best NCO I was ever under as far as knowledge and forcing you to learn. And honestly, just what he did best was just humiliating you. He was best at humiliating you for not being the perfect infantryman. Yeah, I loved, which was so awesome.
He was very good at just the masculine side of like being.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, like, I mean, there was days when I think just out of sheer boredom, but maybe he was teaching us a lesson. I don't know. Maybe the lesson was to be ready at any moment. But there was literally times where we'd be sitting, in the upper story of the talk out looking at everybody because there's nothing going on. And he'd be like, you two, combatives, go. Yeah. And you just had to start fighting the guy next to you. You
just had to fight in a cubicle environment.
In a cubicle, yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was reckless, bro. And then,
I loved it.
I mean, but like I said, yeah. So as far as knowledge and perfecting your craft, he was one of my main NCOs. I mean, the only one I would have to mention, I had so many good ones, but another like honorary mention would just have to be Sergeant Mercer in Hawaii. My second duty station he was my first squad leader after getting my team leader position.
Yeah.
And he was what I needed because I already had Sergeant Major who is like, perfect your craft, know what you're doing, be like this and this. I learned from Sergeant Mercer how to be a leader that your guys look up to, respect, and know that back you up.
Yeah.
Like he was the kind of guy, he'd be briefing us. We'd have a live fire training exercise, and we'd all be in there. He'd be planning. He'd be like, okay, so we're going to come in here. We got house 1, house 2. We're going to hit house 2 first just because, like, hear me out. It's good, but yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then like our platoon leader, our, low-level officer would come by and he'd be like, so you guys are hitting house 1 first. I just need you to hit house 1. Come brief me after you brief your guys. And he goes, will do, sir. And then like he just comes right back. He's like, all right, him. Like, you know what I mean? Or forget about him, Yeah. He'd be like, forget about him. This is where we're hitting house 2.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, this is why, yada, we're going to do it. Oh, and cause that's what he did. And he reminds me a lot of Matty R. Foreman because he is hard on the guys, but he will go to war against you and me if we have anything to say. If we have anything to say about them.
Yeah.
He was the same way. Like I've heard Mercer. We used to call him War Daddy. Yeah. Like from Fury.
Yeah.
And I call his daughter War Daughter.
Furry.
And but they called me Titan Lord. Not sure where that came from. I think it was just aggressive and ridiculous. But he like I've heard him with platoon sergeants being like, that's not fair. Like this guy gave everything he had in that, like, he had I learned how to have your guys' backs from him.
Yeah.
And how to like really have an effect and ride that line between authority and friend.
Yeah.
And I learned that from him. So
yeah, once you get into leadership positions, your friend group diminishes. But it's good. Like you're friends with them, but there's like you're on a different path, so you have to keep the distance.
You have to keep a certain kind of distance, but I've never been the kind that was like never fraternized with your soldiers.
No.
I understand that, but it's just not me. It's not my style of leadership.
Well, it's not, yeah. And like,
because I'm not a harsh guy all the time.
Even with our guys, right? Like I'm leader of this team. And so I'll come to the parties with everybody. Right. But if you notice, like I don't stay until the wee hours of the morning or the late nights. Like I'll stay for an hour or two. I'll eat.
No one really stays that late.
Yeah, I know.
Still,
I'm just saying.
You know what I mean?
And then I break off because like it's just not I can't do that anymore.
But and also let them have their fun. Like I'll come, I'll make an appearance. We're all part of this. We're all part of the same tribe.
Yeah, you guys, they need that camaraderie more than I need that camaraderie. Right. And so like they're not getting it with me there, and that's like a harsh reality. Like there are some leaders who are like I just want to be your best friend all the time. Like you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
And
it'd
like,
be nice. I get that way sometimes too. I have to remember to not be that.
But then I take them apart. I take them individually. Like Withers and I have been friends for 15 years. So like like he came over the other night. We grilled some steaks. We watched Mission Impossible. He knows I don't drink, so like there was no drinking. We just watched a movie and had some steaks, and like that's how I managed to like my friendships and my business and my like personal stuff is like I don't get sloppy because that's like there's no room. And I'm not saying anybody else does, but like there's especially no room for me to get sloppy. And be like talking about boys that I shouldn't talk about because I'm like inebriated to like other employees and stuff like that. So I avoid that completely. And then,
I mean, you're sober too.
Yeah, and I'm sober, so it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, yeah. What's the next question?
I'm gonna grab a drink before the next. Actually, I'll read the next one. Then as you get started, I'll grab you a drink. You want a drink?
What do you got?
I got like the Rock Stars and then some blackberry water flavored waters.
You good? No, I'm alright. I got this. I'm good.
I'm gonna get
make sure that heater's on too.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna get myself another tall boy.
Okay.
But it's got electrolytes in it, so it's essentially a Gatorade.
Next question.
It's all right. So it's kind of a two-parter. Here's a two-parter. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give your younger self? Part 1, before the Army. And I think we kind of know already. We can breeze through that because it just take more seriously for me. But and 2, right after the military, when you were starting civilian life, what advice would you give your younger self in those? Let's start with before the Army. And
Great questions. Before the Army. Before the Army. What questions would I give myself? Was that not on?
No.
That's why it's so cold in here?
I got my vest on. I'm not cold.
Cold as freaking here, dude.
Okay. David for reference.
Advice. I got you a
poster. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Advice before the army, dude. Learn everything. Learn everything.
Agreed.
Yeah, like
Big time agree.
big time. Like, you don't have to be like the best person in the world. You don't have to be the smartest person in every room. You don't have to be the best looking. You don't have to be the most talented. What you need to do is learn and work. And the more skills that you have, the more valuable that you are. So when you're 18 and you're just getting ready to leave home, work a job for a couple months. If it doesn't work out, look for a different job. Like, don't be like promising a career to someone. Like, but you can work some mid-wage jobs and like be in and out in 6 months, and like that's a good enough time for.
This is your right after the army.
This is right before the army.
Oh, right before the army.
Before the
Okay.
army. Yeah. So learn as much as you can. Like at that age, you should be trying a bunch of different jobs, learning a bunch of skills, so that when you go, like let's say you did that for 5 years, and then you're 23. By the age of 23, you could have a whole slew of like skills in your pocket to take to a table.
And honestly some just mental maturity.
Yeah, mental maturity. Like it teaches you a lot of things. Like you could work one mediocre job and not care, but like you should be learning and growing and trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone, because if you really think about that, like, dude, you could be 23, show up to to us, right? 23 years old, no climbing experience or tree experience, but let's say you worked for a roofing company and you drove the truck and trailer. So you show up to us, you already know how to drive a trailer. Yeah. You worked for like a framing company, and because of that, you're comfortable like with sawdust. So you're like, or like you did some sales also, like you sold fences for a company, and then you show up to the tree company like, I've never sold trees, but I'm pretty good at sales. You learn some of those skills.
So you go on the ground for a year, you figure out your stuff.
You already got some sales experience over there. Like,
yeah,
you should be trying a bunch of different things, and you don't need to perfect a skill in your early 18 to 25s. Like you can just go learn a bunch of skills, like rudimentary skills that will help you.
A bunch of
life.
random stuff.
Yeah, like even computer stuff. Like there's a ton of different stuff in the computer field. Like if you want to go to college and that's the route for you, fine. But you also like college is overrated now. There are plenty of ways. Like my dad spent $250,000 getting his degree in animation at Cal Arts, like the best art school on the West Coast.
But he also could have. Nowadays, back in his day, that was the route.
Was it.
That was the way to do it.
But now my dad
He's got a class.
He's got a class. My dad worked in the animation industry for 30 years, and now he teaches that class for $4,500 for 6 months.
Also Mountain Land Tech right down the road.
Yeah. And like,
they teach digital design.
That is possible now. So like look online. Like just literally you have a phone, go online and Google what you want to know about, and it will give you answers. Start like going down the path and you'll find things. People just are afraid to try, I think. It's like you're willing to spend hours on your phone on Facebook. You're not willing to spend 15 minutes on Google searching like a career path that might be possible for you and how to get into it.
Who knows? You could do anything nowadays. I mean, literally. I was going through stuff in my job search even, like looking at, I was like, well, what if I just learned some dumb like medical skill?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's like sterile, like there was like a medical sterile practitioner or something like that. I was probably messing that up. Just whatever. It's the person that like literally just sterilizes surgery rooms.
Yeah.
And all the instruments and stuff like that. They make like $90K a year.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 12-month program. Or I think it was like a 14-month program.
Yeah, either way, not very long.
It was $3,000.
Dude, same with we paid because of the army.
Yeah.
And the the sacrifice we made.
As patriots.
As patriots.
Patriosos.
We got our schooling paid for. So I chose to go to a good school that provided me with good equipment, and the military paid for it. Mm-hmm. And I went to hair school. Now, you can go, people like, and I'm guilty of it. Back then I was like, I want to go to a good hair school to get a good education. You can go to MTech down the road. I think my school was like all in all like $18,000 or something like that with equipment.
Yeah.
And you can go to MTech for $2,500. And there is financing there that you can do.
Yep.
And you will get out with the same freaking degree that I have. And it is all in your own hands on whether or not you're able to fill your book. Right. Like me going to that school and you going to that school does not fill your book. You still have to do that outside of school.
And the thing that they say, and this may be, I don't know how many hair folk are listening to this, but I don't know. If you are, eat your heart out. But a lot of the big thing that those professors say, they're like, start building your clientele in hair school. Absolutely not. They're at a hair school because they don't want to spend any money.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you're not building your career. You're not building your skills. Build your skills in hair school. Don't build your client list.
Barbering, maybe.
Barbering,
maybe. But like big hair.
But if you want to do
You want to
men's
do
cuts?
yeah, you want to do a $1,300 like color change? They're not going to hair school for that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But-
They're not going to leave the hair school to come to
And
you.
to be honest, here's the hard truth that nobody likes to admit, but it is a fact. And
Yeah.
this is why I hate college. Zero things you can learn better than going out and doing it. Hair school, great. I get it. They're teaching you fundamental skills. I could honestly say that if I worked in a salon with someone who knew how to do hair, I would have learned
Like
all
apprentice.
of that in 30 days.
if
Probably.
you had apprenticed, you
Yeah.
would have been way better off.
In 30 days. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Nothing will do better than just you doing that skill. Go do that skill.
I will be completely honest here. The way that I cut hair and color hair is 110% self-taught.
Yeah.
I do not cut the way I cut in school.
Because-
I do not cut the way I don't
it's
color
also-
the way I learned in school.
I took things into my own hands. Like we took courses from Geo. Like I got my Tightline, my extension certification. Like I took.
yeah, I did my little mini
Cutting-
apprenticeship
Yeah, you remember?
assistantship.
We
Yeah.
also did cutting classes that we took from like Philip Wolf had one or something like that.
Philip
that we did.
Philip Wolf had one. I had personal lessons from Shep Wolf or
Yeah.
Shep Wolves from
Yeah.
downtown Provo.
Nothing will teach you better than just
I
going
read-
out and doing it.
I ordered for $300 of my own or $250 of my own money. I ordered that Sassoon book.
Yeah.
The-
I remember. Yeah.
I worked my way through it by myself.
I forgot about Sassoon. Yeah.
I worked my way through that stupid haircut book myself.
Yeah. 100%.
Like I don't use.
So, like,
if I were to
stop
do hair,
worrying.
I don't do anything that I did in hair school.
Stop worrying about the things that you don't know. You know, like I saw on Instagram, it was like a tree video, and tree guys are ruthless to each other. But I saw this guy who commented on, he's like, I just like looked into this, this tree felling school that also has climbing and this, that, and the other. And like, I think for like the schooling and to get my certificate and my insurance, I could get it all done for like 30 grand. And there was like people in the comments were like, dude, you literally need a chainsaw and an insurance, and like you can go out and do it right now with no experience. Ask some friends what kind of equipment you can buy.
Or call any one of 100 tree companies in your local area and say, I would like to start as a groundie, but my goal is this. Every single tree company would be like, yep, we'll scoop you up. You're going to be a groundie. You're going to suck for a little while.
And if you don't want to do that and you want to start your own, dude, call a local tree company. You might get guys that are like buttholes and don't want to talk to you, but you could catch a guy like me who's like, yeah, dude,
Or
what do you
Burbank.
want? Yeah, what do you want to know?
Burbank taught us everything.
Here on go to treestuff.com, buy the Notch Gecko gaffs. Those are cheap,
Right.
they're affordable, they're good for you. Buy a, this millimeter rope with this millimeter climbing device. Da 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 da. Like, I'll help you out. It doesn't cost me anything.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like people get so caught up in overthinking. So we got way off course, but
I
like
was worried about my phone blowing up. Jesus Christ.
my recommendation for pre-military, so like 18 on, is to learn as much as you can as quick as possible.
Okay.
Now post-military.
I'm going to go my pre-military first.
Okay.
Real quick. I mean, we got time. We can do this as long as possible. We got David's awesome camera on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave everyone the middle finger just now, just so everyone knows.
Riley.
Yeah, Riley. It was very vulgar.
David did a bad boy.
Anyways, but mine's quick though. I mean, I would say the same thing that you said. I would say that as you approach the end of high school, like I approached the end of high school, obviously like you and me, drugs, they're awesome, they were fun. But honestly, if I could go back, if I can give my younger self, like as the end of high school approaches, you're no longer having fun. In high school, have fun. I'm not even gonna sit here and tell you don't experiment in high school, don't do whatever, you know what I mean? Like do it thoughtfully, I guess. But as you approach the end of high school, life is on the way to you. Make yourself ready to be on the way to, or at least to meet it.
Yeah.
Because life is coming for you at
Yeah.
the end of high school. You either have college, which is you need to, whatever, figure out. For me, I had the, and probably why I went into, like, because you as well, we went into the Army as partiers.
Yeah.
So what did you think we were going to do when we got there?
That is literally how we became friends in the Army. We got stuck on the same night shift together, you remember?
And we were
they
talking
put
about
us
drugs.
we were talking about drugs.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And that set the stage for us. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad for our friendship. We've had a great 12-year friendship by now, but that's how we connected, and that's what we were in the Army.
Yeah.
Like,
I still hadn't figured it out.
Before the military, I wish I had told myself, one, get ready because life is coming. Prepare yourself. Grow up a little bit. Eventually I reached that. I joined the military to get off of cocaine.
Yeah.
Which was a horrible first week of basic training.
Yeah.
And then also one last thing before joining the military. You are about to join the military as an infantryman. Don't take that title lightheartedly. You are combat personnel. Yeah. You are not the tip of the spear like special forces and whatnot, but you're going to be the cannon fodder that runs in after.
Yeah.
And you need to, and the better you are prepared, learn everything in basic. I don't care if like in basic they're like, oh, it's call to fire day or call for fire day or whatever, and you're just kind of like, you tell me I'm wrong that you did the same thing. You just like got through the classes in basic.
Yeah.
I wish I had been pencil and paper every single class that ever happened.
I had a drill sergeant.
I wish I had.
I did better towards the middle of basic training, and that's because like I had a drill sergeant.
I did better towards the end.
Drill Sergeant Mosley, and he said something. We were on like an FTX or something like that, and he was like, he got pissed, dude, because everyone was like being all lackadaisical.
Right.
And he was like, dude, he was livid. And he was yelling at everybody. He's like, y'all think this is a game? Yeah. He's like, I'm trying to prepare you to go to war. Yeah. If you don't focus on this and learn it, that guy next to you, he's dead and it's your fault.
I wish I was like, oh. Well, I wish I had been the weirdo like that you and I do now because of PTSD and hyper awareness and stuff. I wish in basic I had the wherewithal to take that job as a close combat personnel.
Yeah.
I wish I had the will to just take that seriously and be the weirdo that while everyone's smoking and joking, I wish I could be the weirdo that was like this, eyes everywhere. Yeah, eyes darting. I know that there's probably not an attack coming, but guess what?
Still pay attention.
You're drill sergeants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I'll go ahead with my right after starting civilian life, just so that, because yours might be a little bit broader, but mine is just right after starting civilian life, pick what you want to learn and learn. Yeah. And learn something. Learn a skill, or take the skills that you learned and be obsessive about it.
Yeah.
Like if I had got out of the military, and don't let other people influence your decision.
Yeah.
I could have gotten out of the military and got straight to Gavin DeBecker Associates, which is a personal bodyguard company.
Yeah.
They teach you're armed, you do firearms training, yada yada. That would have been that's the deal, right?
Yeah.
For all infantry guys getting out. What a cool gig that would have been. I had 2 guys would have referred me.
Yeah.
Instead, I just got whatever job I could because, people in my life were like, you know what? I just don't need you doing all that.
Yeah.
And it's like, but
find your passion.
Go for it. And luckily I made my way to there. So I guess the other advice would be open.
Yeah.
Be open to what occurs to you, but don't let that be all.
Yeah.
Don't go into civilian life from military life being like, I'm gonna get offered a job. No, you go find a job.
Yeah.
You find what you want.
It's the same thing getting out of the military as it is getting out of high school, in my opinion. I think people think things are just going to be handed to them.
Or they're going to come, an idea is going to come to them.
Yeah, I teach these young men at my church. Like, I teach the 16 to 18-year-olds, right?
And that's a tough group.
I love my calling, though.
It's a fun group.
I love working with them, yeah.
I would, too. I would have taught high school. If I wanted to be a high school teacher forever.
It's a lot of fun, man. They get a lot out of it. I really think that they do. But, like, one thing that I've talked to them about, and I think it's, like, scared some of the parents, I don't know. But I'll talk to them and be like,
who gives a shit?
When you guys turn 18 and you're, like, graduated, do you think that, like, somebody comes along and gives you a stamp and says, like, you're an adult now, here's an adult job, go pay your own rent? No, dude. It's just like you're the job that you're getting now in high school, like, what gives you think that you graduated high school and that's the key to getting a better job?
Exactly. And what they also don't understand is, people coming out of high school, you hear about the grind that is college. Everyone's like, ooh, top ramen. Like, you're always going to eat top ramen in college. But I feel like at that age, I didn't fully grasp that concept. Mm-mm. And then I ate hot dogs for 6 months at a time one time. Yeah. And was like, oh, I'm broke.
I'm broke.
Like, I'm broke,
yeah,
bro.
Like, they think that it's just like, I don't know, like, kids think that it just, like, gets handed to you, like, and it just doesn't. Like, there's not one day where you just like, I'm an adult. Like, even guys who go to college and have a full degree, they get out and they can't get a job because, again, still, nothing gets handed to you. Like, Nothing. You have to go work for it and earn it and develop yourself. And that's why I say 18 to 25, develop your skills. That's what you should be doing. 25 on, find something you like to do, work at it relentlessly. No partying. Like, for me personally, this is how I wish I would have
after 25, maybe settle down a little bit.
Yeah, but time to settle down a little bit.
Yeah,
you don't want to be 26, 27 asking your siblings for money. You know, like
Never.
that sucks.
Never.
Like if you have to do that, then your life is a little bit of a mess.
And I've done it a couple times.
I've done it.
I did it.
I was that
I was
kid.
not ready. I was that person.
I was that
just
kid.
like you were.
Yeah. I get it. You know, like I'm not sitting here casting judgment. What I'm telling you is it's embarrassing. And
For
I know
sure.
from personal experience.
I hate it.
And so if you don't want to do that, then at some point you have to say, okay, like I need to find a skill, hone it, get better at it, and then keep progressing up. You don't have to progress up a corporate ladder, but progress up a ladder, the ladder of life.
Another big thing for me was like, sorry to take it back to this, but it's just
good.
like, I'll remember forever. So when we were in all of our craziness, especially when, like, even when I was with you and like when we were in Phoenix and stuff, for a good while there in my late 20s, every time I saw my dad, he gave me money. And then there was a time when like that happened so much, and of course I'm grateful. Like and that's parents. I'm gonna be that parent too. I won't, I'll be a little different, but I would do that too for my kid. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we should have later, but like, I'll, give your kids money while they're alive. While you're alive.
Yeah.
Don't, whatever. It's a whole nother conversation, but I'll remember forever the first time I hung out with my dad and brother and whatnot. And my dad didn't offer me money, and I knew why. It was because I didn't need it.
Yeah.
And he knew that. And I was like,
made it. Dude, you know what's funny?
I did it.
It's funny. It's funny that you said
It was
that.
right after I started Trico.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that because there was a moment. My dad has told this story a bunch of times. It was right after you and I had gotten to
Moroni
Utah.
thinks he can tell stories.
I had the storyteller, bro.
Storyboard director.
Story artist of his generation. No, there was a moment. We had moved to Utah. We were living in the trailer. And we were in hair school, but we had money because we were doing remodel work.
Yeah.
And we went out to Salt Lake for my brother's birthday, my little brother's birthday, Clifford's. I think you were there. I don't remember.
Yes,
But
I was.
I asked, we went out, and my dad has told the story a bunch of times because it hit him emotionally hard, really hard that day, and I didn't know this until later.
Yeah.
But he was buying everyone food like he always does. My dad always buys for everyone's dinner. And that day, I was like, hey, I got it. I'll pay for our dinners and stuff. And for some reason, me being capable of doing that and offering, like, really was an emotional moment for him. Like
My dad too.
Yeah,
Same
he was
thing.
like, my son is like capable of paying for more people's dinner than just his own. And at a family function, he's not like looking for a handout. Not like as a parent, of course I'm gonna want to pay for
I'll pay for my kids.
I love paying for everybody.
I'm gonna try as hard as I can.
Yeah, I love
They're gonna
going-
have to sneak the card.
Yeah, dude, all the time. People still do that. I go out with friends and I always pay. It's like a thing that I like to do. I really enjoy doing that. It makes me feel good. But in that moment, it hit my dad really hard. And like that to me stood out a lot. I really appreciated that.
Yeah,
that he told
exactly.
me that it was like
Huge.
it was huge to like my kid is not the starving kid who's asking for money anymore. I had made it far enough in life that I could pay for a meal.
And especially even with friends and stuff too, like it feels good. Like, like I had, like Tyler and Ariel, really good friends of mine and my wife's, and I love them and they're perfectly capable of paying for their own dinner.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, it's like, it feels good to be able to treat them just as they've treated us.
Yeah.
Like, but like,
it feels nice.
It feels amazing to be like, to pay for like a table of 6, or 8, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
I am not broke anymore.
It's like, I'm balling, shot calling, 20-inch rims.
Yeah, there's like a lot of things in my life in the last couple of years that have come so far that like make me really understand and notice like I wish I had known when I was 25 that I could feel like this.
Exactly.
Just by being a little bit more consistent with my
by
work
just paying
ethic.
a little bit more attention to the world, dude.
Yeah, dude. Working a little harder, being a little bit more patient and understanding, being more consistent, saying no to more things.
Saying no to more things.
Like that, those things will make you feel so good.
Making time for exercise.
Yeah.
As
like,
dumb as that sounds, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason because it's
Yeah.
exercise and
Yeah.
it is what it is.
what time are we at, baby?
Who knows? What time? Timing?
Like
7?
clock or?
Or like how long we've been playing?
Oh, I have no idea.
All right. Do you want to do one more or not?
Yeah, we'll make it quick.
All right.
Last one.
Yeah. All right. So, what character trait is most important in a leader, in your opinion?
Oof.
You want me to give mine?
Yeah.
We might be similar. I think proficiency is important. I think that experience is important. I think that the most important character trait someone can have, though, is integrity. And it's not the cliche of integrity. It's literally just, if you're a leader, if you're my leader, I expect what comes out of your mouth to be gospel, because you're in charge of me, and and I have no other. I'm not able to not listen to you. I can't just be like, oh, nope, don't like that. So if you're a leader and you're out there, not giving accurate information, or you're half-assing your job, you're out there just showing up hungover and kind of making things work, your guys can see that.
Yeah.
If you're showing up to work every day and honoring the job description that you signed, to get into the place that you are, that is where you want to be.
Yeah.
As a leader. As a leader, like, I would never want anyone, and I don't think any guys that I've ever been over would ever say this. I mean, I feel like I have general respect from anyone I've ever been in charge of.
Yeah.
You have to do work for people to follow you. People that get into positions of power or whatnot that have never done it before and just expect just blanket allegiance is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. That's why the initial counseling is like in the military and stuff like that. And even when you're become a leader in like the tree business or whatever business you're in, sit your guys down and get to know them at first.
Yeah.
And let them get to know you, because no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Like if some dude shows up, like I've had it happen plenty of times. I've worked plenty of jobs. So have you. You've got some foreman walking on the job site like, hey, do this. You don't even know that guy.
I don't know you. Yeah.
I don't know that guy. I don't care.
There's a lot of them, dude. Leadership might be my most favorite thing to study, period. I listen to a lot of leadership books.
There's so much that goes into
I
it.
read a lot of leadership books. I love talking about it. I love leadership seminars. I love it. Now, I honestly, truly believe, deep down, that good leaders have an internal battle, right? Because a good leader does not necessarily... When I was a kid, people used to say good leaders don't want to be leaders, which I think comes from a humble perspective, but I also I disagree with it to an extent.
I see where it comes from, though.
I see where it comes from, because guys who are searching out leadership, like politicians, are usually corrupt, garbage. They're looking for power. But some good leaders...
Who the hell like applies to be governor just so they can be a congressman?
Yeah.
That sucks.
But some good leaders look to be leaders because they want to change their community, and it's about serving, and they understand that part of leadership, and therefore it's not that they want it, it's that they're called to it, and they have no choice.
Right.
So I firmly believe that. With that thought in mind, I think that candor, integrity, discipline, or respect, accountability, a lot of the things that entail a good leader can all be boiled down to one thing, and that's self-discipline.
For sure.
I think that if you're self-disciplined, then when you make a mistake, you're accountable and you own up to it. I think if you're self-disciplined, you have the integrity to be fair to your team.
If you're self-disciplined, you're doing the work to understand your craft.
If you understand your
to
craft.
know your craft and better than your guys know it.
And if you're self-disciplined, you will, and you should be, until it is no longer your time to be the leader. While you're a leader, it should be your main priority to always be, I don't know, it sounds like an oxymoron, but to be a leader. Like, I don't know how to explain this. Let me think about this. You're not a leader if people are ahead of you within your company or industry, right? So, like, the way I lead, right? I'm trying to teach the guys, I'm leading them, which means that they're following, which means that I'm ahead of them.
But you have leaders underneath you.
Yeah, I have leaders underneath me, but their goal is to get where I'm going. So I have to forge a new path. Yeah. And then their goal is to get
where am I going so that they can follow me.
Yeah.
Follow
and
me.
So like you're not a leader if you're not leading them anywhere. They're not following you. They're ahead of you. So like as a leader, my job is to be the most in shape, to provide guidance, to provide, foresight into where we're going, to provide a plan, to provide, the guidance that they need to get to where I am, to teach them the things that they need to teach the guys below them. Like, if you want to be a leader, then lead. And that comes to self-discipline. That's why I don't, we had a guy who's struggling with being on time. You know what we did? His leader that's under me said, right. I'm going to show up 10 minutes early with you every day to the gym. So you know what I do? I show up 10 minutes early every day so that I can be there with him while we fix that problem. Like, our job as leaders is to be the most disciplined. I go to the gym, I do my estimates, I do all the things that I'm supposed to do. And
you also bear the weight of the mistakes of those below you.
Of those guys, yeah. You're accountable. That's a beautiful point.
They should not bear the weight. Well, they should bear the weight of knowing that you bear the weight of their mistakes.
100%. It's extreme accountability. Jocko talks about it, but those guys, what we're trying to teach them is to be accountable. So like our job is to lead them and teach them accountability. So when they make a mistake, they own it and they're like, hey boss, I screwed this up. I did this wrong. And then I say, no, I did not teach you the correct way how to do that. And here's why I got jacked up. We're both accountable, right? Now there are times and places where like there's nothing you did, like especially with clients. We talked about this recently. Yeah. There are times where they're like, I can't be accountable to that. I've taught them everything that they need to know. They're still not doing it. That's on you.
Right.
You know? But like as a leader, my job is to, and your job is to figure out exhaust every single freaking resource to teach them the things that they need to do to succeed.
Yeah.
And if they're not learning, maybe you need to figure out a new way to teach them. Go read another book. Maybe there's a different style of teaching that you haven't learned yet. You know?
Right. And here we'll I'll talk a little bit, just like let's get a little sexy with it, I guess. But I was gonna say that if we're being serious, I would compliment you. I think that you are 85% on your way. You do a great job. You come to guys from where you are, and you create a good environment, and you know how to help people. I think that you are, and to get to this point that I'm kind of trying to get to, is like you are 85% there. I feel like a 100% leader, like you are very good at, even though you're sober and, religious and this or that, you are very good at coming to the rough and tumble crews that we have and meeting them at the leadership that they need. Like they need different types of leadership than you are.
Yeah.
Also, they need different leadership than I am. You and me have adapted so much. Like if you and me had run this company the way we originally thought, just with our military mindsets, like this company would have collapsed. Because who's gonna? Yeah. Like what are we gonna fire the first person that's 5 minutes late?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You are very good at meeting people where they're too. And I've even seen you adapt when you try to coach them in your way.
That's not working.
And then it doesn't work. I've seen you adapt.
Thanks, man.
I think you're literally 85% on your way to being that 100%, kind of knowing what to do in those situations.
Hit me with some candor.
You do a really good job. You do a really good job. The 15%, it's literally just doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it would be.
That's good.
And I think it would be. I know you don't want to be reactionary. Sometimes this might be the 15%. I know you don't want to be reactionary, but eventually you will get to the point where you have so much leadership experience where being reactionary will be what you would have thought on. Does that make sense?
That's good. Yeah.
It will be what you would have thought on and then come up with. You'll have it in that moment.
Yeah, it's like
you'll have it in the moment.
What appears to be reactionary is actually a very well thought out that this needs to be handled immediately.
Or a very experienced response.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I like it. That's good candor, man. All right. Well, now you guys kind of see this is how we do like our regular meetings with our employees. Like we talk just like this with each other. We talk about candor. We talk about room for improvements. That's how it should be handled. Like how Brooks just talked about the things that I'm doing right, the things that need to be improved upon. That's how you should handle your leadership with everybody. And then you can walk away, with an open mind and a full heart. You're chilling. All right, that's all I got. You got anything?
Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose.
All right, get out of our face.